What's up, everybody? TJ here with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports. And guys, in this video, we are going to be taking advantage of Underdog Fantasy. They just added their NFL season rivals, and I have found some insane discrepancies that we're going to build out some slips right now during this video. What I did, and it's very simple as to what I did, I took DraftKings Sportsbooks and their even lines, compared them back to the rivals, the NFL rivals that Underdog added for each player, and found some fantastic plays that we're going to jump into right away. I'm not going to waste any more time. I want to get these locked in. I'm going to try to go in order by my favorites, and this first one is absolutely bananas. I have them all written down on a spreadsheet here. It's not pretty or anything. It's not fancy at all. I just wanted to whip it together and get this video out. This first one is absolutely bananas. Mike Evans versus Christian Watson right now is by far my favorite. Let's go ahead and actually bring this up on Underdog so you guys can see it. We're going to search by Christian Watson down here. There he is. Okay. So, receiving touchdowns. We have Christian Watson right now getting, so his adjustment is plus 0.5 touchdowns against Mike Evans. All right. So that means they're not straight up. Christian Watson, so if they do tie, Christian Watson has that plus 0.5 attached to him. But if we compare this directly to DraftKings Sportsbooks, okay, bring up my handy-dandy spreadsheet. Christian Watson's over-under right now for receiving touchdowns is set to 4.5, and that is his even line. There's minus 110 juice on the over and the under. So set to 4.5. Mike Evans is set to 7.5 on DraftKings. That is receiving touchdowns. Yes, there's heavy juice on the under at minus 155. But that is a 3-touchdown discrepancy between Christian Watson and Mike Evans. And Christian Watson is only getting plus 0.5 on his end over on Underdog. So essentially what this is telling me is that Christian Watson over under 4.5 is a toss-up. Mike Evans with heavy juice on that under of 7.5. We can call it 7 to be safe. Let's say Mike Evans ends with 7. So if Christian Watson is getting that plus 0.5 on his 4.5 line, we'll call it 5. Mike Evans, under 7.5 is set to minus 155. We'll call it 7. That's essentially a 2-touchdown difference between the two. That's absolutely insane. Take Mike Evans in this matchup against Christian Watson. I believe this is my favorite by far. But yeah, doesn't make any sense. No idea what Underdog is doing here. We're going to start the slip off with Mike Evans over Christian Watson, who is receiving that plus 0.5 adjustment. And we're going to continue to move here. My next favorite play is going to be this Kadarius Toney versus T. Higgins. So let's go ahead and search for Kadarius Toney. K-A-D. There he is against T. Higgins. Again, same situation here that we just saw with Christian Watson and Mike Evans. Kadarius Toney is getting plus 0.5 adjustment so for his receiving touchdown. So if they tie, Kadarius Toney wins. With that being said, if we pull up player card not available. There we go. Okay. If we pull up the odds here from just comparing DraftKings lines between these two players. Kadarius Toney is currently set on DraftKings. His over-under for receiving touchdowns is set to 5.5 with a minus 130 line on the under. T. Higgins, his DraftKings line for receiving touchdowns this year is currently set to 7.5 with the same minus 130 line on the under. 2-touchdown difference, 2-touchdown discrepancy between Kadarius Toney and T. Higgins when comparing both of their lines back to DraftKings. And over here on Underdog, Kadarius Toney is only getting a plus 0.5 touchdown adjustment. That is a 1.5 touchdown difference when comparing their lines on Underdog back to DraftKings Sportsbooks. Again, that's absolutely bananas. We have a 1.5 touchdown discrepancy, and we essentially have a 2-touchdown discrepancy with that first play in Mike Evans and Watson. Absolutely insane. Let's continue to build. There's a couple other plays that I really like. I think this is going to be my third favorite play though right now, and this we're gonna switch over to rushing yards here between Rachaad White and Joe Mixon. There's another really good play for receiving touchdowns. DJ Moore and George Kittle only off by 1 touchdown. I say only off by 1, but that is huge. But I think this Rachaad White and Joe Mixon is going to be my next favorite. We're going to build out a 3-leg here, guys. There's a couple other plays that are really good that I'll post to Twitter, but for this video, we're going to stick to a 3-leg. Joe Mixon and Rachaad White. Let's go ahead and pull this up real quick so you guys can see it. Okay. So we have, this is for rushing touchdowns, not this is for rushing yards, not for rushing touchdowns. So we have Joe Mixon against Rachaad White. Rachaad White is currently receiving a 20. He's currently getting a 20-yard adjustment. Okay, so he's plus 20 yards. That's technically his handicap, we'll call it. So right now, if we just look at DraftKings comparison, Rachaad White currently on DraftKings is set to 650.5 rushing yards, minus 130 on the over. Joe Mixon is set to 825.5 rushing yards, and that is his even line. You got minus 110 juice on the over and the under. That is a 175-yard difference when comparing the DraftKings lines directly back to Underdog. 175-yard difference between these two players. And right now, the adjustment on Underdog is only plus 20 for Rachaad White. So that's essentially, we're getting a 150-yard difference between Mixon and Rachaad White when you include the adjustment there. That is an easy Joe Mixon over there. That is a fantastic three-leg. We have two Bengals here. So we have the receiving touchdowns with Mike Evans over Christian Watson. We have T. Higgins receiving touchdowns over Kadarius Toney. And then we have Joe Mixon rushing yards over Rachaad White. These three discrepancies are bananas, guys. Make sure you get these locked in. If you are going to be tailing the slip, go ahead, smash that like button, turn on the notification bell. And if this is your first time stumbling upon the channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button. Also, if you guys haven't signed up for Underdog Fantasy yet, you can do so right now using code DGF for a 100% match up to your first $100 deposit. I hope you guys are able to take advantage of these discrepancies. I love you guys, and let's cash.